the hashkafa behind the mitzvah of tzitzis, things that we could be thinking about. After all, the Bach, as we mentioned this morning in Shir, talks about the importance of the kavana. But first, to ask some pointed specific questions about the mitzvah of tzitzis. Number one, tzitzis comes at the end of the parsha of the Meraglim. We know there are a couple of mitzvahs that are given. Parshas Nisachim, which we're not going to talk about. I spoke about that in the parsha Shir tonight. And the mitzvah of Chala. And then we have the parsha of tzitzis. And there are already connections, as is pointed out, between the words used. Latur sa'aretz, velosa surah achrei levavchem, ure'isem sa'aretz, achrei einechem. There are parallels. But is there something specific in the mitzvah of tzitzis that maybe represents a tikkun to the chait of the Meraglim? The beginning of the parsha and the end of the parsha. Is there something specific about tzitzis that would help with that parallel? Question one. Question two. And we know, obviously, tzitzis is connected to Kol Torah Kula. Okay, I gave you that Gemara in Menachas Mem Gimel in source number 1. Shkula mitzvah connected to Kol mitzvah Kulan. So what is it about the mitzvah of tzitzis that makes it very special and makes it connected to all the other mitzvahs? That's the general. Question one, how is it a tikkun for the Meraglim? Question two, the Rambam tells us in source number 2, even though a person is not obligated to wear tzitzis, so to speak, it's only if you're wearing a 4-cornered garment. It's not appropriate for a person to exempt themselves from this mitzvah. Try to wear a 4-cornered garment, and that's really the minhag of Klal Yisrael, to wear the 4-cornered garment to wear tzitzis. And the Rambam then says, "Ubishatz hatfilah tzarech lizar biyotzer." B'shatz tefillah, you have to be very careful. So first of all, that's why the minhag is to wear talis by davening, not the rest of the day. And then there is, I guess you always have to look at the cup half full. There are some times certain groups, let's say, in our society, that might put on tzitzis for davening, and then kind of, those who have division heads in teen camps might know the phenomenon of putting on tzitzis and tefillin and kind of stay in shul. And then, you put it on for davening, and then, and afterwards it kind of comes off. So even though that's not correct, but there's something there. The Rambam says, at least if you wear it sometime, good to wear for davening. Good to wear for davening. That's the Rambam Shita. We have to be extra careful by davening. If you look in the Eben Ezra on this week's Parsha Shlach, he says exactly the opposite. Tzitzis, you're supposed to remember to do all the mitzvahs. By davening, you're davening. You don't need tzitzis to remind you of anything. When you leave davening, when you go out to the world, that's when you need your tzitzis. The Eben Ezra, in source number 4, he doesn't, the Eben Ezra often asks questions on the Pshuto Shomikra. He's not arguing Lamaisa, but it's wonders though. Rak lefi daiti yoser hayachayev l'tzati b'tzitzis shar shows b'shas atfilah. Now it's even more important with this is during the rest of the day when you're not davening. L'man yizkar v'lo yishke v'lo yasa aver b'chol shah, so that you won't do aver through the rest of the time. B'shas atfilah v'lo yasa avera, because at the time of tefillah, who's going to do an aver when they're davening? What kind of good some machlokas about? Whether tzitzis is more crucial when you're davening, or dafka more crucial when you're not davening and you're involved in the world. Can we come up with a svara for that machlokas? Number one, how is it a tikkun for the meraglim? Number two, during davening, not during davening. Question 3, Rashi at the end of the parsha, the last Rashi in our parsha says, where does the word tcheles come from? Paf and shin could switch. Shachul means barren from. Shikul bechoros. Tzitzit connects to makas bechoros somehow, when they were barren of their firstborns. Somehow tzitzit is connected directly to Yetzias Mitzrayim, makas bechoros, like in the parsha of tzitzit, in the third parsha of tzitzit. What's the last pasuk? Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher hotzias Eretz Mitzrayim. Is there a connection that we could think of between tzitzis and Sichas Mitzrayim and Makas Bechoros? What exactly is the message? And finally, the last question, this we mentioned today in my shiur, the smak. The smak you don't have on your sheet because I saw it after I made the sheet today. The smak counts two separate mitzvahs, making tzitzis and looking at tzitzis. There's a separate mitzvah in the smak of looking at your tzitzis. His takel b'tzitzis. What exactly is the message? What are we supposed to think about when we look at our tzitzis? So these are all the questions. Here we go. What's this is about? Two ideas. We'll start with Kadosh Baruch Hu in his infinite wisdom, Ara Mitzias Ru'yalo, created a world. He toyed al shleimuso v'chachmaso. The world testifies about God's perfection. The world testifies about God's greatness. If you just think about the world a little bit. And his reality that he, Hashem, exists, and he existed before anything else existed. So that's Hashem in the world. Hashem created a perfect world. But the lower world, meaning us, Hashem created, let's call it flexible. Let's call it to go up and down. Hashem gave us free choice. Hashem created a perfect world, but the perfection will only be fully realized when Jews do the part that they have to do too. Hashem wants man to partner with him in perfecting the world. If a person acts properly, following the mitzvahs of Hashem, so then the whole world will come to its natural fruition. How does man do that? Often Hashem does a certain amount, but the last step has to be done by man. Hashem doesn't give bread, but if man perfects the world and makes the bread with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's help, then together they make bread. Bris Milah, we mentioned this before, the Sefer HaChinuch. Skipping for a minute, I gave you the Chinuch in Surah number 7. What is Bris Milah? Hashem created an entire human body. He couldn't do the last part. A little bit of foreskin just cut off? No. He left the last part for man to do. For HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take, for man to take part in. Because life is about HaKadosh Baruch Hu creating a perfect world, but man finishing the job. That's step one. Step two. Hashem's world is described by Sukkim in Tanakh as a levush. Hashem clothes the world. Look at the line 15, if you see on the next page. We say in Parchi Nafshi, Ote or Kasalma. Hashem clothes the world. What does that mean? Clothes hide the body of a person. That's what clothes symbolize, right? They cover up the body of a person. You don't see the person's body because his clothes cover him. You don't really see God perfectly because the world covers him. The world that he created hides him, so to speak. He hides behind Teva. He hides behind the world that he created. How does he come out? Through man. When the Jews are in Or Lagoyim, and people could act godly, so then people see godliness in the world. The clothing that is the world, the malbish that is the world, if man, we act like partners with Hashem. The punchline. What's tzitzis? Tzitzis, says the Meshech Chochmah, is a beged. It's clothing. It's a garment with strings hanging down. What does strings at the edge of a garment symbolize usually? Forget tzitzis. Let's say you have a shirt with strings at the bottom, like somebody didn't finish. Somebody has to tie up the loose ends. Tzitzis symbolize Hashem created the world and it's like covered. It's like clothing. And he left the loose ends for us to perfect. He left the little bits that we have to do to be in our lagoyim. Partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the ultimate purpose of the world. And that's what Hashem wants from us. When we see those strings of tzitzis, we think of the edge of a hem that wasn't done perfectly. That's the message of tzitzis. Man is so great. Man can partner with Hashem in perfecting the world. Man could bring out godliness. Man is the one, Hashem needs man, so to speak, to uncover beged. So we have a beged with strings to remind us that we have to uncover the beged. Rav Soloveitchik says maybe this is also mentioned, alluded to in a Gemara in Brachas. Some of you might have done this Gemara. Brachas Daf Chaf, source number 8. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan, unusual story, used to sit outside the mikvah or the river. So when the women used to come out of the river, they used to see him and they'd be inspired by Rabbi Yochanan, the Gadol Dor, and then when they were with their husbands, they would be so inspired and they would have great kids. Ask the Gemara. Isn't it like Ayin Hara? Everybody's looking at you. There's a separate question, Yetzer Hara. That's not for now. But what about Ayin Hara? Whenever you're the center of attention, everybody looks at you. Aren't you worried about Ayin Hara? Ask the Rabbanan to Rabbi Yochanan. He says, don't worry. Don't worry, I'm from Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef is compared to fish. No Ayin Hara. Ayin Hara doesn't affect me. Don't worry about it. I never thought about it until today. Rav Soloveitchik asked, did Rabbi Yochanan really have a star that he could get all the way back with his lineage to Yosef HaTzadik? Really? You know how many generations that is? Did Rabbi Yochanan really get all the way back? All the way to Yosef? That would be pretty amazing. Says Reb Soloveitchik, maybe it doesn't literally mean he's a descendant of Yosef biologically. Maybe he's a descendant of Yosef in his essence. Who was Yosef? Yosef was somebody who was pushed down by his brothers. Yosef was someone who could have given up. Yosef was somebody who could have packed his bags and say, I'm done. And he said, no, I'm going to be a partner in creating Jewish history. I'm going to make a difference. The Rav is machalik between two ideas, Gaiva and Geut. Hashem Geut Lavesh Lavesh. We might call it arrogance and confidence. God is not arrogant. We're not allowed to be arrogant. But we have to be confident. Hashem this is a way to help out the Dar. And therefore, Rabbi Yochanan says, I'm following Yosef. And I'm sure it's trying to be much piyah. That's the Meshech Chochmah by tzitzis. Godless ha'adam. We can partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in creating, in mashlim, the creation of the world. We help tie up loose ends. When we think of our tzitzis, we should think of, I have to tie up those loose ends that Hashem left for me. That's one idea about tzitzis. Maybe there's a very, very different idea. This is idea number 2. Let's go back to Makas Bachorot Yitzias Mitzrayim. Why Dafka does tzitzis out of all mitzvos link back to Yitzias Mitzrayim? So there is a Gemara. Well, let's start off with the Sichas Chaim HaKadosh quotes the Gemara. Hold on 1 second. Stop the recording for a second. It's about tzitzis. Gemara tells us the Sichas Chaim HaKadosh points out this Gemara. Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Meir, right? In the days when they had Tchelas and Lavan. If somebody doesn't wear Lavan, the Gemara says, I'm in source 13, somebody doesn't wear Lavan, Hashem is more upset than if they don't wear Tchelas. Why? A human king that says to his servants, could you please bring me some cement? Could you bring me some gold? They both bring. Who does the king get more upset at? Obviously, the one who doesn't bring the cement. Oh, that's hard. You didn't bring the cement, everybody could get cement. So Lavan, everybody can bring Lavan. Hashem gets more upset at Lavan. Asks Tosfos, why is the mashal dafka about cement? Why does he use that lashon? There's a beautiful line in Tosfos right there in Menachos Mem Gimel. It's really the Gemara. Gemara in Shabbos Nun Zayin has a question, a halachic discussion. What a word means in the Mishnah there, what you're not allowed to carry out on Shabbos. And one of them is a kavla da'avda, a certain signet that an Eved wears to show that he's an Eved. We know this from World War II, right? The Jewish star. They had to wear it, so it's a symbol of Avdus. So the Gemara has a concept about a stamp that Avadim used to wear to show that they were Avadim. Says Tosfos in Menachos Mem Gimel, tzitzis are our kavla d'avda. Tzitzis is our stamp of Avdus to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The second, and this is the Sichas Chaim HaKadosh now talking, the second that we left Mitzrayim and we left being Avdei Paro, that very second, it says Sichas Chaim HaKadosh, says Reb Soloveitchik, we must have worn some type of stamp in Mitzrayim to show that we were Avadim. Hashem gave us another one in that second. Tzitzis symbolizes Avdus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every second that we wear tzitzis, we hear Reb Soloveitchik in Source 15, upon achieving their freedom on the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim, they defiantly removed these seals the Mitzrayim gave to them. In exchange, they would wear a new seal, tzitzis with cheles, indicating that henceforth they would serve God, their new master. Tzitzis is about Avdus. Very different than the first idea. This is about recognizing that I'm an Eved Hashem. I wear it proudly, but I'm an Eved. I'm an Eved. And maybe that's expressed in another Gemara that we discussed many times. Right? Chazal tell us, Shabbos Teiches, Hashem held the mountain over their heads like a barrel. And many ask, what's the symbolism of that? Especially after the fact that it's already said Na'aseh v'Nishma. We had a whole cheer about that. It says the Minchas Asher, says Rav Asher Weiss in one of his Sichos. There's another Gemara in Yevamos. The Gemara in Yevamos on Daf Mem Vav tells us that when an Eved Kenani, those who were in the Shia last year, we discussed this in Gideon. When an Eved Kenani goes into the mikvah to be Tovel, from being a non-Jew to being in Eved Kenani, he is Tovel L'Shem Avdus. And the master puts a kli that has some cement in it over his head when he's in the mikvah as a symbol that he's an Eved. Unusual. As a symbol that he's going to service the master. Suggest the Minchas Asher. That was Na'aseh v'Nishma. Na'aseh v'Nishma was putting the kli on our heads as a symbol of Avdus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Maybe that symbol continues with the mitzvah of tzitzis. mitzvah of tzitzis, as we just said, that's the kavla to avda. That's the signet, the seal of being an Eved of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We got it right at the moment of Yetzias Mitzrayim. This idea also might help us out with another unusual Arizal. Most don't paskin like this, but the Magen Avram quotes the Arizal in source number 20. Because of Arizal, Arizal quotes to sleep in your tzitzis. Sleep in tzitzis. And that's not the minhag olam. But what's his raya? He has a raya. Gemara tells us in Menachos, every second of David HaMelech's life, he was doing a mitzvah. He was wearing talis, tefillin, tzitzis. One time David was in the shower, the Gemara says. Arum bebeis hamerchatz. Omar. Oily shani arben mitzvahs. What was the how many mitzvahs? Naked first most. Why was it only when he? Oh, it must be. That's the Magen Avram's raya. That's the Magen Avram's raya. Magen Avram, that's the Arizal's raya. And the Arizal, Magen Avram says, what are you talking about? When he went to sleep, he had the mezuzah on his door. The Gemara says it's a package. There's tefillin, mezuzah, tzitzis. No raya about wearing tzitzis when he went to sleep. There's a whole discussion without getting into the details. Some of the minhag too. What's the message? We don't do this minhag. But what's the message? Wearing tzitzis when you go to sleep. You don't do mitzvos when you go to sleep. We're putter from mitzvahs when we go to sleep. But it's not about a mitzvah. It's about a siman of avdus. That might even apply when we're sleeping. Because we're still an eved when we're sleeping also. Right? We're sleeping in order to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu the next day. So it still could be a siman of avdus. If you think about it now, to try to put the two ideas that we've spoken about together, they're kind of opposites. What's the first idea of the Meshech Chachma, and the Rav expanded upon it? This is symbolized that we're partners in creation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There are strings left. There are threads that are left. An unfinished business that Hashem didn't finish. And when we live as an Or Lagayim, then we finish the job for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're partner with Him. Godless Ha'adam. And then what's the second message of tzitzis? That we're avadim. That we're lowly. We're servants, and he's the adon. Maybe the secret of tzitzis is to have this balance. Maybe the secret of tzitzis is to recognize the godless and to recognize the avdus. And maybe that's the machlokas between the Rambam and the Ibn Ezra that we started off with. Is it more important to wear tzitzis when you're davening and when you're not davening? The Rambam says when you're davening. Why? When you're davening, that's the ultimate avdus. Avdo b'chol avavchem avoda shebalev. So dafka when you daven, you have to wear tzitzis. The Rambam holds. Maybe the Ibn Ezra says exactly the opposite. When you're out in the world and creating and accomplishing and doing great things, when you're partnering with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's when you wear tzitzis. That's the symbol of partnering and perfecting the world with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the machlokas, Rambam and the Ibn Ezra. Maybe that was the chait of the Meraglim. Getting back to the original question. Meraglim have had too much part 2 and not enough part 1. What does Hashem say? We can do it, we can do it. Allah says, Alo Nala, we can do it. And the Meraglim don't believe in themselves. No, we can't. They only believed in the second message of tzitzis, not in the first. Isn't it fascinating? It's an amazing Klei Yakar. The Klei Yakar says on the first pasuk, Shlach lecha anashim. The Klei Yakar says in a very sharp line, Moshe, you could send men. If it was up to me, I'd send women. Because the women loved Eretz Yisrael. And they would have had the proper perspective. Women don't wear tzitzis. And women, the Rama says, shouldn't wear tzitzis. Maybe they have this balance even without mitzvah of tzitzis. That's the secret message. The message of being a partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but at the same time realizing that we're avadim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One final idea. This idea could be expressed maybe in every time we make a bracha, a birchas hamitzvah. I think I mentioned this before, but it's one of the most beautiful thoughts. Rambam talks about three types of brachas: birchas hananin, birchas hamitzvah, and birchas sheva. But the question is that in source 24, the Rambam, when he talks about brachos, birchas hamitzvah, he says just like we make a bracha on pleasure, hana, so do we make a bracha on each and every mitzvah. And ask Reb Salvation, and ask another Mepharshim, what's the kishem just like? A bracha on pleasure on hana, that's a matir. The pleasure belongs to Hashem. We make the bracha, we're matir that hana. What does that have to do with the birchas hamitzvah? Says the Rav, I gave it to you in source 25, a gorgeous idea. A birchas hamitzvah is also a matir. Why? We're going to do a mitzvah. We're going to shake a lulav. We're going to blow shofar. Who are we to think that blowing a shofar is going to bring me close to the infinite, to God, to the Almighty? Right? He's all the way up there. I'm down here. Am I putting on black boxes? Fill in. How could any mitzvah? How could I think that I'm a finite little ant in the universe? Hashem is so awesome. It's so amazing. How could my little mitzvah, how could I dare to try to be close to him? It's presumptuous to even think that I could do that. Says Reb Soloveitchik, that's the purpose of the Birchas HaMitzvah. If I recognize the mitzvah, if I recognize that Hashem commanded me to do this, then I'm allowed to do it and even obligated to do it. So a Birchas HaMitzvah, all at one time, on the one hand, shows my inadequacy. I'm an Eved. I shouldn't be able to come to Hashem. And at the same time, shows my godless that Hashem says, no, I want you to do the mitzvah. I want you to be close to me. That's every Birchas HaMitzvah. And that's what the Ritva the Ritva says, again, the Ritva doesn't say this, but on the last page, the Ritva because Birchas HaMitzvah captures this balance that we need to have in life, and that's the message of the mitzvah of tzitzis. The godless ha'adam that we partner with finishing up, and the avdus that it symbolizes as well. And just to end with the medrash, tzitzis. He's a mashal echad. Want to catch him. So what do? They start throwing him ropes, throwing him life preservers to try to catch him. Don't let go, don't let go. If you catch it, you'll have life. If not, not. Says the Medrash, you want life, you grab onto mitzvahs. And this is said on the parsha of tzitzis. And Rav Wolbe explains every mitzvah is a string HaKadosh Baruch Hu is throwing to us. Get close to him. That's why tzitzis are strings. It reminds us of all the mitzvahs. Because every mitzvah is a string that we could climb up by getting back onto the boat of life. Maybe the way that tzitzis does that is it gives us the proper perspective of both Godless Ha'adam, partnering with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as well as being his ultimate Eved, as well as realizing that we are only Avadim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us everything, and we're dependent on him. But Kaviyachol, he creates the world in a way that he's dependent upon us. The world is clothing, it's a malbush, and we uncover by being in Or Lagoyim. So let's remember every second, it's such an easy mitzvah. Every second we put it on, and we get the mitzvah. Let's remember the symbolism of it as we read in this week's parsha all about this precious mitzvah, one of the mitzvahs that are connected to Kol HaTorah Kula. Okay, we'll stop here.